A good pad catch. It's my first coyote in the new Duke 650s, and I can tell you right now, boy, that is a nice deep pad catch. Very, very impressed with these traps. You can see that trap is you can see it is raw. That trap is not dyed anything. It just goes to show we're setting on sign, and there we go. Nice coyote.
Alright y'all, so welcome back. Alright, so just got done with all my fur chores for the evening, and boy, I'm excited, y'all. You guys are staring at the first new traps that I have had in at least 5 or 6 years. It's been a while, right? As I said before, I just don't buy a lot of traps. But I am super excited to show you guys these traps here. I'm excited to get them in the ground, put them to work. You know, we're gonna show you some coyotes getting caught with these, right? That's their sole intention. All right, so pretty cool deal here. These are the new Duke 650, the Pro Series, right? This is a Pro Series trap. It's a nice heavy trap, cast jaws, you know, pit pan on it. Just a beast of a trap. This is an out of the box, ready to go in the ground trap. No modifications needed. Very impressive, 4-coiled. Anyway, nice looking rig here. Now, we need to, obviously, I just got these. I just put the anchors on them, put my tags on them. Now, we need to get them prepped and ready to go on the ground. Obviously, you guys can see from my hands, these traps are fresh out of the box. They are oily as all get out. Now, if many of you guys have followed me for any amount of time, you know that at the beginning of the season, I go through this big process where I boil my traps and then I wax them, I get them ready to go for the season. Obviously, we're in the middle of the season right now. We don't have time for all that. So what I want to show you guys today is a method to basically get your traps ready in one day to go into the ground, right? Obviously, like I said, right now we've got freezing temperatures outside. It would take me, you know, 7-8 hours to get that boiling pot thawed out, and then we'd have to do it, and I just don't have the daylight. So we're gonna real quickly kind of skip a few steps, but we're gonna still get these traps ready to go and in the ground. Now, obviously, these are brand new traps, right? So they're full of machine oil and they're brand new and shiny. Now, I like to dye my traps. You know, some people dip them, some people spray paint them, whatever. I like to cover them. The dye, you know, say what you want about it, making it dark versus shiny. I know they're in the ground, whatever. But there's just something to be said about having that nice black wax trap ready to go that just looks cool. Well, we're not gonna get that. We don't have time for it. You know, ideally what you would do with these brand new traps would be remove all the oil off of them and then spray them down with vinegar for a few days, let them get a good coat of surface rust on them, then dye them, then wax them, and then ready to go. We're not going to do that. We're going to go straight to from degreasing to waxing to in the ground. Could you skip that waxing process? Potentially, but I still like wax, especially on a new trap. New trap's got a lot of grip on that raw metal, and that wax really speeds it up. Plus, it just kind of seals everything in. So I just prefer waxing over the dip or the full metal jackets or whatever. You know, I just prefer the waxing. That's just me. There's no right way or wrong way. That's just the way I do it. All right, so I just got the anchors on it. It's all I did with these traps. These traps are ready to go out of the box. For those of you always question, this is my anchor system that I use. This is a finned super stake. You know, you're gonna pay a little bit more for them than other anchors, but I can tell you right now, I've had some of these. I switched from pogos to these about 7 years ago, and it took me a couple of years to kind of get my whole fleet outfitted. They are a little bit more pricey, but I can tell you right now, you just don't lose them. You don't have any problems with them. It's a cast piece there. I buy them with the chain already on. Then I add this retrieval cable to it. I make the cable just as long as the chain. You drive them in, you set them, and I put a loop big enough on these where I can get a hay hook in there. I pull all these with a hay hook. They pull easy enough even in our solid clay ground that you can go pull 40-50 sets in a day and your back don't hurt. All you're doing is pulling this right back up the hole. So anyway, I get a lot of questions on that, but this is my preferred anchoring system for canine sets. You know, this is way overkill for everything else, but for canine sets, I prefer the Finn Super Stake. So we got our traps all ready to go. I added the stakes. That makes 4 swiveling points on this trap. It comes basically with 3 right out of the box. I added that 4th one for the chain, and we were ready to go. Like I said, these traps here, this is a Pro Series trap by Duke. There is no tweaking with it, really. You know, you take it out of the box and you're ready to go. So that's one advantage. Like I said, these are first new traps I've seen in quite a few years. But anyway, let me just show you just comparison. I went ahead. This is so this is what I normally run right here. These are my. This is a Duke number 4 right here compared to the 650s. Obviously, check your laws, y'all. I can run these 650s in my state. You know, maybe you can't in yours, but check your laws. This is still the biggest trap we can run. But look at the kill area compared to a 450. You know, just really a nice trap. And then I also run a lot of number 3s. This is a number 3 Duke here. You guys see me use this trap for years, but look at the kill area compared to that set. So the reason I run a lot of number 3s is simply I love the way this number 3 beds, especially in step down sets, trench sets, things of that nature. You know, for scent post sets, trail sets, blind sets, everything else, number 4 is just king just because of the size. I've always preached this for years. Use as big a trap as you're allowed in your state. And obviously I always have, but yeah, look at that. I can tell you right now, I'm excited to bed this 650 because I think it's going to bed very similar to that number 3, which is just awesome. All right, so we got to get the oil off these. We got to get the oil off of them before we can wax them. You just need to get the oil off of them, period, right? They smell like oil, they're greasy, nasty, whatever. So there's a couple different ways you can do that, obviously. You know, like I said, you can wash them, pressure wash them, take them to the car wash. I don't even know if the car washes are open right now. It's so cold. So we're not going down that route. If your significant other will allow you, you know, you can throw these in the dishwasher and rinse them off that way. I'm not even going to go there. So we're going to stay outside in a bucket here and and we're going to use Dawn, simple Dawn. I've got a couple of buckets here, 5-gallon buckets. I fill them up with just regular hose water, tap water, it doesn't matter. And I am going to give a good, healthy dosing of Dawn into this water. I had a stirring stick somewhere. We're going to stir that up. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this solution up here of just Dawn and water. And you know, that Dawn will pull, it will pull the oil off of the traps. Now, I'll show you guys tomorrow, but whenever we do this, we're not going to pull the traps back out because the oil will float. What we're actually going to do is take the hose and we're going to put water in it and let that oil flow off the top and then rinse our traps off and we'll be ready to wax. So, simple as it gets, y'all. We're going to take, I got a couple buckets here and we're going to set these traps in there. And like I said, this is the night. This is in the evening. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. We're gonna come back in not quite 24 hours. And then we're gonna go ahead and take these traps out of the solution and we'll be waxing them tomorrow night. You know, Christmas is right during trapping season, obviously. You know, if you get traps for Christmas, you know, or you just decide halfway through the season, hey, I want to go spend a lot of money and try to catch some worthless fur. That's a good option for you. So anyway, position these traps in here. I may have to get a 3rd bucket. These are big traps. But I want to make sure that the water covers the trap. That's my end goal here. So we can add a little bit more water, move these suckers around. What is that? There's 2, 5, 6. So yeah, there's a half dozen. I got a half dozen 650s in a 5-gallon bucket. And we'll get my other bucket here. And well, I'm gonna get cleaned up, guys, and we're gonna check back with you tomorrow evening. All right, y'all, so fast forward to the next day here, next evening here, and I've got these 2 5-gallon buckets. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I got these 2 5-gallon buckets here full of traps. Now what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be dark, so I'm not gonna be able to take the camera outside. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these buckets, I'm gonna go over to the garden hose, and I'm just gonna fill these buckets overflowing with water, you know, because overnight all this oil has came off. You can actually see it. I don't know if you guys probably can't see it, but all the oil has risen. Obviously, oil is lighter than water, so it's all risen to the top of the water, and I don't want to pull these traps up through that oil again, because that's kind of defeating the purpose. So I'm gonna take a garden hose, I'm gonna put down in that bucket, I'm just gonna let the bucket overflow, you know, for a good minute, and that's gonna push all that oil out, right? And then I'm gonna dump it out. I got just in the driveway there, and I'm just gonna rinse all these traps off real good with this water, and that's pretty much the prep. My whole goal with this is to show you guys how to do a one-day trap prep. You know, I started this project on Thursday. I want to be setting on Saturday, right? So anyway, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go wash all this stuff off, and then we'll be ready to go. So we're gonna wax these traps now. I brought them in. I'm working in kind of confined quarters, guys. Obviously, it's pitch dark outside and it's cold. But you can see here, just in the amount of time I've got my pot warming up here, these traps are they've already got surface rust on them. So we did a good job. We got all that oil off of them. That was the goal, right? Like I said, you could do that a whole bunch of different ways, but just a bucket of Dawn and, you know, let them sit is good enough. All right, we're gonna go ahead and wax them. Like I said, ideally, I would go ahead, rust them, dye them, wax them, put them into use. I just don't have time. I want to get these traps in the ground tomorrow. Now, we're going to do this on a very small scale. If you guys would like, I'll leave a couple of links below to videos that I've done in the past where I'm doing more of a kind of production, you know, trap maintenance, you know, where I do 300-400 traps in a day. I'm waxing like half a dozen at a time. I use a big pot. This is all same process, just downscaled for this dozen traps. So a lot of people are under the impression that in order to wax traps, you need a literal pot full of wax. And that is just not the case, y'all. First off, it's very hard to control the temperature of just solid wax. Number one, it takes a lot of wax. You know, to do these traps here, I'd need like 6 inches of wax in the bottom of a pot. That's just not the case, right? You don't need that. You all have ever heard of like hydrographic dipping? Or I think it's called that. Anyway, it's like how they dip shotguns and different cool looking things. Essentially, they take a film that'll float on water, you dip your trap and you're good to go. We're gonna do that same thing. So what I've got here is I've got a pot. Like I said, I use a big 55-gallon drum whenever I do traps at the end of the year. This is just small scale, small enough, but still deep enough we can sink and completely submerge this trap. So what we're gonna do, rather than actually dipping the trap in wax, we're gonna pull the trap up through wax. Same process, use a lot less wax, a lot more controllable. And you know, for these dozen traps, that right there is probably all I will need. So this is a pound of wax, and anyway, I'm not gonna need much of it at all. So anyway, I'm just gonna take a couple chunks here. I'm gonna set that into that hot water. That stuff's gonna take a couple of minutes, it's gonna melt. And then what I'm gonna be able to do is, then I'm gonna be able to set that trap in there, give it like a 15, 20, 30 second count. Let that steel heat up by the hot water bath, and then as I pull up the trap through that wax, it's gonna coat that trap, and then we'll be good to go. A lot simpler than having to go through and make a whole big tub of wax. Saves on stuff too if you're looking for savings. So anyway, it's gonna take a few minutes for that wax to melt, and then it'll just create a film on top of that water. I've been doing this for years, guys. There's no reason to have a whole pot full of wax. Our wax is now melted, it's floating on top. I've got, I don't know, heavy 1/8 inch or so, and that's all we need, floating on top. Now, the trick to this is just let your trap get warm by the water, and then as you pull it up through, you won't have, you know, a ton of buildup. You know, you don't want these traps just coated in, you know, a stupid amount of wax, just enough. So anyway, you can see, now that these traps are drying out, you can see all the surface rust on them. Ideally, like I said, you'd build up a lot of surface rust, but yeah, just goes to show how effective that Dawn solution is. All right, so plain and simple, I get a lot of questions about my anchoring system, so I wax them. No, I don't, I just wax the trap. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm stuck inside here, I've got some cardboard down below that you guys can't see. I'm just gonna dip them, let them sit on that. You know, if I was outside, I'd hang them or throw them on my trailer or something. Doesn't really matter. One other important thing to note is, now these are offset traps, and the offset is made by just these two little studs on each side. If you're using closed jaw traps, what I normally do is just take a small stick and just open the jaws up a little bit. If not, that wax, it's very hard to break that bond, you know, because you have so much surface area. It's not really a case here. You know, that little bit that's going to adhere to those ears on these 650s is not going to be that big of a deal, but just something to consider. All my 1.5, my number 3s, number 4s, all my closed jaw traps, I go ahead and I put a little stick in there. All right, so plain and simple, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna dip just the trap. I'm not worried about the swivels, everything else. I just want the trap dip that's gonna protect it. You know, it's gonna you know, make that trap just a little faster too. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put him in the water here. Now I'm gonna let this trap sit in there for about a 30-second count, 25-30 second. We'll know real quick. You know, after the first one, you'll be able to see if there's a lot of buildup. You know, because these traps are, you know, it's 55 degrees in here or so. But if you have too much, if you put your traps and just dunk them, that cold steel, it'll suck all that wax to it, and it's just it's no too good, right? So anyway, I could see whenever I put that trap in, I could see a bunch of wax go down in the water. You know, it clung to that cold steel. So I'm just kind of watching the trap now, and I can see that wax just boiling right off of it right now. And that's what I want to see. I want to let that trap get hot. I can see I wish I could show you guys, but I can see the wax just boiling right off of it. And it's been probably, what, about 30 seconds or so, I'd say. And like I said, you don't have to have your water super, super hot. With this method, you can't hardly burn that wax, because boiling water 220 degrees is not enough to burn that wax. So if you're doing this over like a gas cooker or something, this is a great option, you know, because it's kind of foolproof, so to speak. All right, so there we go. I'm just gonna pull that trap right up through that wax. Give it a little shake off here. Well, these are nice traps. I can't wait to catch coyotes in them. Alright, so that's pretty simple, straightforward. Now you can see, I'll show you in just a second, but you can see there's not a lot of buildup. You know, and that's what you want. If you've got a lot of buildup on you're dipping your trap too cold, and you can do that with solid wax too. But anyway, just something to consider. Out comes the last trap there. There we have it. 1 dozen. And you can see I've still got, well, you can't see, but I still got wax in the pot, but I will actually show you there at the very end. I'll show you just how little bit that I end up wasting, you know, if you don't want to use it. Reuse it again. But let me grab one of these traps here. Alright, so here you can see we've got trap. Everything's still free, but it is coated. You know, we've got just a nice thin coating on it. We're not holding anything down. Traps are coated, you know, real nice in that wax. In the bottom here, let me see if can you guys see that? I can scrape it off just a little bit. That's all we're looking for. That wax is not hard yet. It'll get really hard once it cures out, you know, for the morning. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's it. That's straightforward. Now, after season, what'll happen is I'll boil these traps. I'll boil them. I'll get all that wax to come up to the top. I'll float it off with water, and then we're gonna go ahead and rust them up, and then dye them and everything for next year. But this is just get us through the season, right? All right. So I let the pot cool down, and here's what came out of the pot. Right here, you can see this. These are just 3 pieces that broke apart. So there wasn't a lot of wax left in there, but it was plenty to coat the traps. And this is all the waste, if you want to call it, that I had. So anyway, y'all, I've rambled on enough. if you did enjoy this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. I really would appreciate it. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know if you do this, what differences you guys do than I do as far as trap prep, mid-season trap prep, or anything. You know, obviously you could spray paint these things, but you need to let them set a little bit. This is an in and out, real quick way to go. So, with that being said, guys, as always, I appreciate the view. Leave a comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button if you're new. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see y'all in the next video.